Welcome back, everybody, to some more sweet UPL action here. The name's Infernosis, joined here by my great buddy fellow. We've worked through our differences. We're back to being best friends. Tried to ignore him last week. He didn't like that, so he made sure to let me know personally.
Me and
The
Reese
amount of
kind of had
Discord
a thing
DMs,
going on, you know. Us
Yeah,
young bucks got to stick together, you know.
the amount of Discord DMs I received from you saying, help me, save me, help me, were not really indicative of how the afternoon went for you.
Reese, don't listen to him. You know it's not true, all right? You know it's not true.
I'll send the receipts later, Reese. We'll figure it out. But we've got a really fun game today in the afternoon. Had a really fun one yesterday. It was really just Troll R6 moments. Really fun, really good afternoon. Found their first win. And now today we're going to see how this game's going to go. And John, as you've looked into it, there's also some some future playoff potential on the line here for one of these two teams.
Yes. Particularly Coastal Gaming in general, and while we get the rosters up for both Team Assault and Coastal Gaming, I will go and discuss that since I'm hoping a majority of you can read. I know I struggle with that personally, so I shouldn't probably, think that you guys are all better than me, but that's just kind of how it goes around here in Lay R6. So for Coastal Gaming, they basically need to win these next 3 matches for week number 5, 6, and 7 to confirm that 4th place seed position to make it into the playoffs. If they lose this matchup against Team Assault, they've basically already set their fate in stone because they won't have enough wins or round differentials to counteract the 4th place team currently, which is Cosmic Wolf, especially if they miraculously beat Team Assault next week because those 2 teams are playing against one another. So a lot is on the line in these next couple of matchups here for Coastal Gaming just to ensure they can get a spot moving into the playoffs, let alone win the matchup entirely, and up against a titan of Unified, the previous finalists of Team Assault. Not finalist winners, but they were second place, so that's still a pretty damn good spot. This is going to be a considerably one-sided matchup just via the naked eye for Team Assault.
Big thing to note as well, Dubs is actually playing in and subbing in instead of Relajado for that Coastal Gaming side, so that's why you see his name up there instead of the Relajado name that we love and know. But speaking of things we love and we know, we're going to see what map we're playing on. We don't know just yet what it happens to be, but we do know which maps we tend to love and which we tend to hate. And we'll start off one with a lot of people tend to hate. Oregon Out for the Count, followed by that Villa, then Bank. Sorry, not Villa. Villa's twice on there. Interesting. Chalet Cafe, and then Clubhouse will be that map that is there. It's the end. So we are, in fact, going to what's Dub House, I think is what some people do like to call it. I've actually heard that for the first time today, that it is referred to as that. And once again, for 2 games in a row here, we have Cafe as the second to last band, not the first like it was towards the beginning of the season, second to last, almost making it to play day. Just cut short, as you do see Team Assault opt to go for Clubhouse and go for the defense first as well. Coastal Gaming saying, no Cafe, we prefer that Clubhouse.
Yeah, Oregon and Cafe kind of fit that same niche, so one or the other normally gets banned in the first couple, depending on what each team prefers. Clubhouse being kind of that run-of-the-middle map because some objective rooms based on meta bans are a little bit stronger than what they were and some actually weaker. Some good examples of that is both CCTV. When there's a Maverick almost always on the ban, it's pretty dang good for attackers so long as they can either clear out rafters or the construction area. And then when that Habano's banned, normally the basement floor is a little more tricky to actually clear out and get into properly. So it's kind of in this weird gray area where it's kind of 50-50, slightly more attacker sided than what it used to be. So going to that map of Clubhouse for this best of 1 when a lot is on the line, it kind of makes sense because just because of how the map of Clubhouse works, that naturally sets the bar at a pretty even level for both Team Assault and also Coastal Gaming.
Now, one thing to keep in note, big updates coming out here in Rainbow Six Siege. Ubisoft has patted a lot of the players on the back. New HUD, which some people say is pretty hit or miss. We'll crack our memes on Twitter about it. It's whatever, whatever they want to do. New agent as well, should I say operator to the game. That's going to bring Osa out of that quarantine period. Don't know if she'll make it here for UPL. Wouldn't really make sense because that playoffs is coming up, so I don't think that she'll be brought forward. But if she does, we'll keep you in the know. And another big one's going to be Oregon, the map that we typically see 99.9% of the time here at UPL. Has a bit of a rework when it comes to that kid's dorms room. In fact, each and every single one of those bunk beds are now solid. They are filled in, so to say. They have walls blocking the majority of views, which will make it both harder and easier for both sides to attack and defend in their own minute little ways. It'll change definitely how you set up on the defense It'll definitely change how you want to attack on the offense. The question really and truly is going to be, how is it going to pan out? And we've seen small reworks work on other maps, and that's why I'm segueing here to Clubhouse, where we did see that minute rework inside, obviously, the main objective on tertiary objective down below for double bar now. It used to be that bar in stock. You also had the construction room get that slight rework with that hard wall that used to be much larger. Now it's that single wall. There's a lot of small, minute changes that have gone forward, and those can definitely change and dictate the way these rounds go, and a lot of what objectives people will tend to pick up and choose, though not many teams actually opt for that double bar objective here anymore here, fellow. Still tends to be that last objective people want to jump towards, though I'm hoping that'll one day change. Ban phase, though, is looking exactly like we've saw it all day today inside of the major and all times before. Thatcher, Hibana, Mira, Kaid was banned earlier today in the major. Maybe that's what they're looking to do, but it'll probably be something along the lines of Valkyrie or Omai.
I think we've seen actually more variety in the major than down here, which makes sense. Comfort thing, especially for those T3 and T4 teams. There were a couple target bans the day before that, though. A really good example was the Finka ban on the Cafe match between Furia and SSG, which I enjoyed watching quite thoroughly, because that's the only NA team that actually managed to make it out of the group stages. And they'll probably get smacked by the other LATAM team of NIP. Just a thought, but a pretty damn good thought at that. But moving back on down here into Unified, you mentioned quite well, ban's pretty straightforward. Yeah, I'm upset that we don't have the Wamai ban, but because of that, hopefully when we move on to sites like CCTV, like Gym and Bedroom, that rely more on the utility-based extensions and not just roam extensions like Church and Arsenal, I'm anticipating him to be in play. But for a site like Church and Arsenal, that's not necessary. What is necessary is to have that dominating presence all the way up above that quote-unquote SSG roam, since I just previously mentioned them, or the complete opposite of a very anchor-based setup in the basement floor, and basically basement floor only, but a majority of teams like to go for these roams all the way up on the top floor, and that's exactly what Team Assault will be bringing out here on round number 1.
Go ahead and get that Jacuzzi hard wall, put up those mute jammers as well. That's just a great way to slow down the pace. Most attacking teams know that they can just toss a nade or use a Zofia lifeline impact through the drone hole, at least tag a little bit of that and get rid of the jammer, and it just buys a couple extra seconds and waste a little bit more utility for what the attacking team will bring to the table. And I'll crack the joke here, because you mentioned it as well. These are all NA teams here for the UPL, and I would like to say, if it was an option, I'm sure they would have followed the lead, so to say, of the NA teams here at the major and would have picked Plane instead, as that's what they've typically done right now. So it's unfortunate it's not in the map pool here in UPL, but it apparently is in the map pool for the major. RIP in A, but it is what it is. But round 1 officially has to go underway, and for the attacking lineup, nades are typically your go-to instrument of choice for a lot of clearing out the basement util, especially when you've got to worry about the extra layer of defenses when it comes to anchoring in a lot of these positions. One of those major ones is going to be that secret tunnel down below, talking about that boiler and that maintenance side. You have to be very wary about pushing down. Most teams typically ignore dirt and tunnel as a primary method of approach these days, which is very interesting, but it does make sense as funnels typically do what funnels do best and lead to your ultimate demise. But this time around, they'll at least gain entry towards the stripper side. Now need to work their way forward. Ashen takes out a drone. It was in the visual utility as well, so Gohan doesn't really have the information for where he may lie as of the current moment, but lots of noise is being made as he constantly crouches up and down, just narrowly out of the eyesight of the rest of the Coastal Gaming squad.
Speaking of Coastal Gaming, they need to clear out that top floor because Zofia is currently trapped, but trapped no more, as she will die to the way of Ashen because he over-aggresses and will actually reap the rewards of that, pulling down a nice little tight angle. Good night, Sneaky. That's 2 for Ashen. Already a 5-on-2. That Jacuzzi wall has been opened up, but it's not actually helping out Coastal Gaming. They're still locked outside. Luckily, Sakuda picks up one and can maybe recover that case. And Dubs and just find a nice cheeky shot on towards Reed Sink. So 2-on-3 situation here. Case still trapped right around the western hallway, but luckily Sakuda lands another deadly shot, this time on Ashen. So most of that roam presence now has to fall back into the site, and there's still plenty of time left in the round for Coastal Gaming to make this round actually winnable. They just need to gather those last couple of bits of information and make that decisive execute, which again shouldn't be that challenging because of how much time is left on the board.
Well, you got to be a bit more wary when it comes to this Memo hack. You see it's a centralized focus, but the defense also can stay a little bit closer to home, turtle up inside church, and play this one a little bit slower. And I think that's what they need to be doing. There's 40 seconds left. Still plenty of time for Coastal Gaming to dedicate to one side or the other, but ultimately it's going to be a bit of a hard factor to determine which way to go, especially when the util's still in play for Team Assault. Is, I guess, tending to be a bit of a tricky pickle, a thorn in their side quite literally with these goo mines, as well as slowing down their approach as the Banshees will be even more fruitful. Another goo mine tags in the legs there for Skuda. He's got to be worried as they're stepping in from this Mimo side. They're ready to fight at a moment's notice. The fight goes in favor of Asian for just a moment, but Dubs finds his own dub, takes out one. Now it's a 1v1. Spiff finishes off Sakuda in the process. He's now sitting next to Secret Door, and Spiff finds the kill, cleaning up and letting them find a round 1 victory.
It did get close for a moment, though. Coastal Gaming definitely gave Assault a run for their money. Once that overextension actually occurred, in the 5-on-2, a couple of vital picks were had by both Dubs and also Sakuda on the Maverick and Buck, respectively. Then they rotated around. They tried to do a little bit of verticality, but I feel like that could have been emphasized a lot more because they still had around a minute to 50 seconds to play with, and it ended up just turning into this pretty normal funnel into Moto, which Team Assault was guarding very well. They were quite aware that at that point you could not go around and towards dirt. Kitchen wasn't really that big of a point of contention for Coastal Gaming on round number 1, so it was pretty obvious that you come in through main stairs, drop down Moto Hatch, and just try to make ends meet inside a church. That was not possible for Coastal Gaming just because of how passive Assault were playing in those last moments of the round. Moving on now in towards CCTV and Cash Room, the Momai is not going to be brought on the board, but interestingly enough, Spiff is rocking the Bandit, and I'm quite confused as to why he's opting for that, because Coastal Gaming have a Maverick, and it's quite easy to try to Maverick trick that plat wall. I think he'll just have a bigger emphasis in towards the garage walls to try to stop that clearage in through rafters, because you basically cannot bandit trick unless there is something like a Thatcher on the board, which has been banned, and because of that, you need the Maverick almost every single round here on Clubhouse.
The attic is very important. That's why the Wamai ban, like you spoke about, super pivotal towards a defensive hold, but the Kaid can fill that role. There's lots of different ways to go for it, but you are having to dedicate most of your ADSs to being placed over there. And it can be a bit wasteful, but can also be fairly strong, especially if the other team doesn't bring as many nades as you typically would expect, but that's not here a problem for Coastal Gaming. They've brought 6 to the table. 2 in the hands of Dubs, 2 in the hands of Bumza, and 2 in the hands of Sakuda. That Sledge, Maverick, and Iana combo really does make that util spam quite viable in the current meta. We don't see that as much right now in the major. You've talked about that more specifically. NA tends to be a little bit behind the rest of the squads when it comes to their meta lineups for a lot of their attacking and defensive holds. Not as much of a utility spam, but still ever present. First kill, however, drops in favor of Gohan, who's now quickly rushed all the way over through Logi, has control of construction, and also has control of Asian's life as they manage to slip it away. Now you're in a 4v5 if you're on the favor of Team Assault. And there's 2 minutes left, and Coastal Gaming have entrance into the building. They're now looking to step forward further into the building as they step from the construction side, but they're denied entrance from the eastern suburb by a player of Ashen. Bleeding stopped, though. Gohan finds not just another, but now has a bit more leeway when trying to push in from this construction side as Bumza has come on over and is ready to assist on their entrance from the western side of the building.
Really vital picks on that run out by Ash. And speaking of runouts, that is definitely potential if we have a flank afoot, because there's only one point of entrance here by Coastal Gaming, and that's currently inside of construction. Both Sneaky and Bumza are just droning out. They've got plenty of time to work with. It's that manpower and how vital those nades could come into effect that will really make this round work in their favor once again. It's about a minute left on the board. Spiff, brilliant shot, finishes off Bumza, and Sneaky's not there for the trade because he dropped down the hatch moments ago and now has to relocate, but he's returned up in towards construction, spots out through the rotate hole, tries to maybe get a cheeky angle on towards Reed Sink, but he does not have the information required to do that just yet. Only his hindsight, maybe a little bit of educated guesses. Gohan gets rid of the player in towards rafters. You can maybe work your way in towards the plat wall, but both Sneaky and Gohan are isolated, and Reed Sink will punish, but Sneaky will refrag on towards Spiff. Just a 1v1, but he gets up close and personal. That's exactly what Reed Sink wants. An easy shot and finisher by Reed Sink to make it 2-0, favoring Team Assault, moving in around number 3.
It's interesting to see how that round evolved there at the last few moments. Thinking Coastal Gaming had a great start, stepping up, getting the first kill and the player of Gohan to do it, and the second for their side, but That run out was essentially the damper on their attacking hold that put them into the dirt. They didn't have that, I guess, dual-pronged assault. They didn't have the multifaceted approach that they needed to categorically put Team Assault in their place on their defensive holds. And that's the biggest, weakest link, you could say. And it's all because Ashen got aggressive and was really trying to put a damper on the attack, and they did just that. Coastal Gaming are going to have to think twice now, but they won't be able to see that objective for a few more rounds as it's now been locked away by Team Assault. But we will get to see the tertiary objective of this gym in Master Bedroom. And this one is where you typically see that Jacuzzi hard wall be a huge point of emphasis for a lot of attacking teams. I've seen a couple combos that go along the ways of going for a bandit trick on that wall, which is super not meta in the current way. Mute Jammers can fulfill that role as well, just not without destroying the utility like the bandit batteries do, but picking up and replacing, denying that wall for as long as possible, and then having some ADSs or my magnets for those nades or anything cost underneath, force you to have to find a different approach for it. Some people will say, hey, Twitch drones. Some people say the Rotaro. And I have to think the Rotaro drone's a little bit stronger because not only is it bulletproof when it activates, but on top of that, he has a lot of them here, John. Too many, as a lot of people still say. And on top of that, it flushes away the defender themselves away from that wall. So you can not only deal damage or pretend to deal damage against the defender, but you can also gain yourself a little bit easier of an approach as that defender is not as close as he should be.
Looks to be a pretty straightforward extension done by Team Assault. That's really not shocking. Only took 3 rounds to have Wamai finally picked on the board by Ashen, none other than him. So that's going to make the clear much more timely because it's not just ADSs and Seer Gates you have to worry about. Now Vulcan Shields as well, as Gunner's opting for that pick as well. It's going to also be those magnets. So a lot is emphasized in towards this push leading towards Cash Room. Once that finally gets dealt with, Coastal Gaming will have a lot more room to breathe, but that's if they end up actually clearing this out. There's a roam game afoot as well. Gohan will trade shots between Asian, but neither one of them will actually meet their mark, forcing Gohan to just still lurk around near stock, and luckily Asian will manage to escape that endeavor, maybe transitioning that aggression somewhere else. And another missed opportunity yet again by Coastal Gaming. In theory, if they were able to get those first 2 picks, things could have been great for them, but so far it's just a one-on-one trade with Ashen getting blown up sky high. But there goes Asian yet again on that middle floor, annihilating Gohan, bringing that man advantage back in the favor of Team Assault.
A lot of what we're seeing right now for Coastal Gaming for their attempted roam clear is just dedicating that one person to do the job. And when you have a player like Asian roaming around that middle floor and able to spread themselves thin, it's too much. You got to be able to dedicate 2 people or find somebody that's a bit more dedicated to the role of roam clear, like a Jackal or along those sorts, to get that job handled. But we just don't see that. And instead, we're just seeing more and more of Coastal Gaming getting picked apart. That's another kill dropping in favor of them, leaving Dubs all alone. And though he may find 1, he's going to find 3 more on top of it. And he hasn't even gained a safe enough approach inside a CCTV to, I guess, guarantee any sort of level of success. Asian's down below, sitting next to the actual Coca-Cola machine inside that break room, but they'll rotate over towards that red staircase. And now it's going to be 2 players sitting over towards that cash room side, probably a third not far behind. And it's just too strong of a defense in this direction. Gunner's got a very cheeky angle holding on that red staircase, watching this window very aggressively. And if we had seen that kill drop for, I believe it was the player Bumza previously watching this and getting that kill into Gunner, this would have been an entirely new game. But that's not what we saw, and it's cleaned off just as quickly for them as Gunner with that Vector comes up big after resetting the Surya gates. There was just no way around that corner here, John. You can see those magnets. You can see the utility dumped over there. The Surya gates are just an extra level of defense there as well. Team Assault had a vice grip on that round, on that hold in CCTV, and that's why I say you need to favor the Jacuzzi wall instead. You'll get in quicker, though it's a little bit more dangerous, I should say, but at least you'd make it into the building closer to the objective than you did in that last round.
I don't know if... Is anyone else experiencing this weird robotic thing in Discord? Huh.
No, you're good for me.
Oh. Well, you sound like you are on Mars right now, Scott. I'm not going to lie to you, but my internet's completely fine. So at least that's a plus. This problem has been happening like all day with me today on Discord, and it happened in a Chiefs server earlier too.
Just kicks him.
Now Marcus is connected.
Boots him and brings him right back. You good now, John? You okay?
Twitch stream can still hear me. Hi guys, I'm trying to figure out everything.
He's broken now. It's very unfortunate, mighty unfortunate.
And I am back.
Well, no, he's back. You good? You my robot for you?
think you need to take over because my Discord is bugging for some odd reason. I don't
That's
know
strange.
why.
You should try updating your Discord. You should try updating the Discord. Maybe that'll work. Somebody send them a message. They update your Discord or something. Because I think that's what somebody else did earlier for us, and it tended to work out. So make sure to check your Discord for the update. Or don't update. Maybe that's what did it. I haven't updated in like 3 months. Because personally, I never pay attention to the update button in the Discord, and I never turn my PC off. So my electricity bill may go burr, but at least my Discord works. So we've got something there at the very least. But the next round, for round 4, we're about halfway through. Or at least halfway through in this half, I guess you could say. But Team Assault have given no chances for Coastal Gaming to make a showing. There was one try we saw to get close, their construction push when it came to the CZTV side, but still favoring the entrance towards Garage is just going to continue to be something impossible for them. Let's go on, steps into the doorway into Garage and loses their life just as quickly. And now it's up to Bumza to follow suit. Still aware there's a player inside CCTV, but not sure of their exact location because they just don't have the information to back it up, and the drones are refusing to step up that staircase alongside Bumza.
I really can't wait to go back in the Twitch VOD and see if my voice was as animatronic as it sounded for all of you guys or not, because I swear it was not. Okay, well, thank you, Hyper, for spoiling the end for me. And Gunner's going to spoil himself on this round too, matter of fact. Finds a second. This time it's on the head of Sakuda. That jacuzzi wall not being opened up, that's a huge oversight. Now Gunner finds a third. He'll finally be silenced, though, by Sneaky, but the damage has already been done up above on this top floor. Things aren't looking all that hopeful as now Spiff gets aggressive and shuts down Sneaky, leaving Dubs another 1 versus X. He gets wide swung yet again by Spiff. He's having a heyday up above just like his comrade of Gunner, making a buddy ace for the 2 roamers up above with the Mutant Mozzie to make sure it's 4-0. For Team Assault. They're not giving any leeway to Coastal Gaming, like you just said a few moments prior, Scott.
Man, I love Coastal Gaming as much as everybody else. I love the players in their team, but they are not finding what's working out for them here, John. It's a little unfortunate to see. It's just been Team Assault from the get-go. They have found success, and they're continuing to walk away with it. Yes, it is the defensive half, though, here. I do want to state that it is the favored side for majority of maps, but this level of favoritism, when we've seen every objective now at this point, except that quaternary. Nobody says that. Thank you very much, Chief, for putting that in my brain once ever.
Le Chef.
But nobody touches that objective anyway, so it's not a point. But Team Assault have not given any leeway. We've not seen maybe bar 1 rounds that gave even a look for Coastal Gaming to find success.
Yeah, you mentioned defensive favoritism. It's not as blatant on Clubhouse, so it's more or less just Coastal Gaming not playing properly. They're allowing Team Assault to get aggressive and confident in their swings and win those gunfights, which should never be the case. They are 50-50. Coastal Gaming should be trying to win as many of those picks as possible, but it's just not happening in this moment. Maybe CCTV and Cash Room will be a different story, but the one issue I had with Team Assault's lineup was that they didn't have a lot of utility, despite the fact it wasn't really necessary, but now they're bringing out both the Wamai and the Jaeger together, not just one or the other. So if it doesn't come down to a frag fest like it did last time this site was brought on round number 2, then you're going to have to worry about the other major thing that can cause a round to be a loss for you, and that's not having enough utility or coordination to burn through your opponent's gadgets, such as those theory gates, ADSs, and again, the magnets.
The magnets are really important as well when you talk about this map. That's why you were really upset that you didn't see Wamai get banned out. I do think I have to agree with you. Mira is dangerous, but I do still think that having to face off against those magnets is even more dangerous in a lot of ways, as it just makes that utility dump that you're trying to favor not work out for you. And I think that there's going to be a plethora of problems continuing to drop on Coastal Gaming's lap. We've seen such a huge and heavy emphasis on it so far, but thankfully for them, they're now a minute into this game, and nobody's lost their life. Gohan's dropped inside of Logi Hatch. He's got drones helping him out inside construction. Finally, we're seeing them not lose lives so far in that eastern suburb, as we had seen them last attack this one, and they have once again gained that safe entry towards construction side, and it's just a matter of keeping themselves that way. But unfortunately, Dubs, who I can only imagine was not on that construction side and instead was still teasing the eastern suburb, loses his life. That's a player off the board for Coastal Gaming, and that's nades off the board as well as that hard breach secondary. Now take out another player, your main entrance, that's Gohan losing their life, and even calling out that it was a nice shot, and quite frankly, it was. Sakuda slept, DB and Ode finished off by Reed. Gunner with the very nice shot with the AUG to take one more, and Team Assault step up tremendously, finding the last kill with that Wamai sitting on that attic side. A flawless round win for them, and once again, Coastal Gaming having to think back on this and question what to do from here.
And with the other AUG, matter of fact, since you mentioned the Kaid pick, but I want to go into the point of expectation, especially for Coastal Gaming. You know Team Assault is going to play aggressive, yet you're still dying to basic swings. Almost every single time the plat wall gets opened up, you should expect someone to either be holding a long angle, waiting to be poking and prodding at the rappel head glitch, or just someone wide swinging you near rafters. And that's exactly what happened. It gave that early pick by Team Assault, and then they just continued that same forward momentum throughout the entire 5th round. And Coastal Gaming really never caught a break. It's almost like they weren't it's like they were surprised, actually, by Team Assault getting aggressive. Whoa, why'd that guy just swing me? But they've been doing this every single round at this point, Scott. It's quite shocking that Coastal Gaming has fallen for the same trap now 5 rounds in a row. And I think the big question here, in all honesty, is, are they going to fall for it again on a 6th time? It's definitely possible. And again, now that you're dealing with both the aggression and the utility play style of Team Assault, moving in on the shim and bedroom defense, leading into yet another extension in towards cash room, it's looking like we might get a flawless first half here for Team Assault if Coastal Gaming refuses to play their cards right for another round at
When you think twice about what we've seen from Coastal Gaming's attempted entrances, the big thing that we've noticed is that when we're talking about CCTV and Cash Room, they're entering in and taking control of Logi and taking control of that western side of the map on the 2nd floor, and they're mostly ignoring the 1st floor, which is good because it's been, I believe, Asian that's been holding it down and bunkering up quite well for it, and we saw them doing that last round, which was probably the most pivotal point for them. And they didn't find a kill off of it, but it still would have been very successful. Was Asian on the Surya Gate Rumi. It would have been more effective for them if it did come down to it, but instead, when it comes to this new objective for Master Bedroom and Gym, they've ignored the western side of the map and have always tried to go towards CCTV and Cash the same way, which has never worked out for them. And thankfully now we're seeing them put some emphasis on this hard wall for Jacuzzi, but they've got to clear corners. A player from behind in Gym not paying attention is the player that is sneaky, and he's downed because of it, but thankfully Sakuda steps up big. However, they'll need to do more than just that. Finding their second, kills dropping against them though, and Sneaky's now been officially downed. DB and Ode and not been able to be assisted inside bathroom, but Sakuda is coming up tremendous. Now a 3K, leading the Coastal Gaming side over to a probable successful round now, as it is a 1v3, but every player for Coastal Gaming 1 HP, and it's an Alda in the hands of Asian. He has the weapon to handle the job, the ammo count to do so, and can spray and pray literally every corner in existence on this map, and still have extra ammo in the pockets to spare. But a double swing set up on the corner near that master bathroom hard wall, and a player in the objective room itself deny any and all outlooks for the last player with the Alda, handling it in due time, giving Team Assault their 1st round loss, and Coastal Gaming their 1st dub.
Still a 5-1 split, though. That's a very daunting task to try and actually beat, especially on a matchup that I was talking about earlier that Coastal Gaming kind of needs to win if they want to go to playoffs, which is the whole point of still playing. So they are going to have to play this second half even better than Team Assault, and they did a damn good job winning 5 out of 1, as the scoreline clearly shows. So moving in on the defensive side, you know, maybe they can actually use that aggression by Team Assault to their advantage. They kind of wait for Team Assault to make that first move, especially when you are doing, again, another roam-based composition, this time bringing out the Castle Barricade, which is something that Team Assault didn't do a single time on any of their rounds. And due to his recent buff, he is a little bit stronger, having 4 panels instead of 3, but the fall-off price for that is they are all a little bit weaker, about 9 melees to destroy one of them. But normally you're going to be bringing out something like a Gone 6 or some kind of breaching device to break them. You normally almost never melee them. So overall, it's a net buff and not just a net change overall. And that might actually allow for a little bit more time to be wasted here for Team Assault, but they still have a lot of great hard counters to those panels, such as the Sledge and also Asia on the Finka, which, matter of fact, does have a Gone 6 in her back pocket.
You were actually shocked by that, if I remember correctly, right? Or was it Lion that you were shocked about having the?
It was Sam Fisher because
Fisher,
he
that
has
was
two
what
breaching chart, two secondary
Yeah,
hard
two
breaches, a
secondary
Gone
hard
6, and
breaches.
4 Sam cams.
He's
Like,
nuts!
What the hell? He's crazy. No wonder why Latam brings him out on a lot of their rounds. Actually, he's really good. Funny.
No wonder we
enough.
see Goddess bringing Zero out as well for a large majority of this. I've always questioned it, but I mean they did win, so it doesn't.
It's almost like the ex-pro player knows what's good.
Yeah, it's almost like she would be
Shocking,
readily aware of what's happening and what's meta in the current time. If only the rest of NA would apparently follow suit with that one. But yeah, Sam Fisher's quite
Nearest
exponentially strong right now. Once again, a very early angle being given to an attacker, but this time it's Team Assault on the attack, and they'll take advantage of that. 2 kills dropping, both for Reed. Gunner finds a second. Spiff, Reed, and Asian have now been DBNO'd, but it's just Sakuda left standing. They find the shot with the SMG-11 into the head of Ashen, and now it's a 1v1. Gunner's going to go ahead and place the diffuser, saying, hey, I don't necessarily need to play this for the long con. I'll force you into a 40-second equation, and now that's what we have, and Gunner's going to lose the fight. That's game over. It's done and done. Sakuda now is not aware the other 2 players have been downed and is trying to play this one extremely slow, but it's over. 30 seconds on the timer. No one being picked up in that DBNO situation. And now Sakuda sees Reed, finishes the kill. 1v1. Spiff's about 1 second away from it ending, and Sakuda is just playing this one as slow as you can do. Now it's over. It's all over here, John, as Team Assault had an insanely strong start to that round, but Coastal Gaming hold on, get the diffuser done, and it was a 1v4 in technical practice, really and truly the 1v1, but still very entertaining to watch.
That rush, funny enough, leading through both blue and dirt. You mentioned it earlier. It's something we don't see rarely, but it did make sense that Team Assault brought it out. They were playing incredibly aggressive on their defense, and they were doing a superb job at that. So it only made sense they tried transitioning that on the second half when they were attacking. So they rushed in through blue, got 2 incredibly early picks, and then got control of dirt, but their ace player ended up downing. It became a funnel, essentially, and something as small as not having Asian actually standing up at that time, if he wasn't the player who was DBN'd out, if he was in that 1v1 essentially, he could have revived everybody and put them on an okay amount of health just to play for bodies, and that could have actually been the turning point for Team Assault to make sure they get into match point. A close call for Coastal Gaming, but they'll still come out on top, and they'll now move up above onto the top floor of CCTV and Cash Room, once again bringing out the Castle Barricade. And I'm hoping it is a little bit more valuable on this 8th round, because the entire extension was completely ignored for a rush trap by Team Assault. But normally, rushes don't occur twice in a row when you're attacking. So at this point in the road, at this fork, I should say, we're probably going to have to see a proper extension coming through by Team Assault. And those Castle Barricades will now be a little bit of a challenge to try and get around. But again, at least they have Gunner on Sled, which is basically a hard counter for Castle. Let's just hope he doesn't die.
Just hope he doesn't die. Yeah,
fingers crossed.
That's a fairly good hope. A spawn peek attempted, I think.
Well, speaking of death,
it could be the only thing I can think of. Gohan loses the fight, though. Another very early frag now dropping in favor of Team Assault, but the question on my mind is it going to turn out like last round? Are they going to walk in and throw themselves at the opposition, arguably throwing the round? Or are we going to see Team Assault play this one a little bit slower? ADS is placed, though, on this Raptor side in time of Garage. It'll be Sneaky who's holding it, which is an interesting decision, and it doesn't last for much longer as Ashen removes the head of Sneaky and now has gained entrance into the Garage side. Team Assault's approach into this objective room has been infinitely more successful when it comes to this Eastern and Garage side than Coastal Gaming's all attacking attacks we saw in the objective. As I think we saw one time, maybe twice ever, that Coastal Gaming made it inside of CCTV, and we're now Team Assault hard breaching it inside, ready to plant at a moment's notice. Bumsai may find Spiff, but a nade from Gunner and Reed's weapon will take out 2. And it's just up to Dubs, who unfortunately will find 1 W, but then takes the biggest L and leads themselves into another round loss in match point now for our attacking team of Team Assault.
And having Sneaky there playing on Rafters out of all players is such a big problem. He's one of your only few operators that brought out a Nitro Cell, which is great to deny a post plant. And his SMG-11 is not meant to be played at medium to longer ranges. It's short to some medium range engagements at best, really. If he had the MP5K there in that situation, then you could maybe justify it. But again, you didn't have a lot for the plant denial. You were relying on that utility to be a huge time waster, and then you only needed a nitro cell or two and then those toxic canisters to actually shut out the plant. But because Team Assault once again started out on the right foot and on a really early right foot as well, they were able to get so much map control and pressure established that Coastal Gaming, again, I'll say the same phrase, they had no time to breathe and no time to pivot around all of that early success by Team Assault. Now in match point territory, they're going to try out the other top floor bomb site of Gym and Bedroom, and they're emphasizing this heavy util composition again, but it just simply has not been enough 90% of these rounds, Scott, to put it bluntly, simply because Team Assault, they're just simply winning their gunfights. I'm hoping for more passive gameplay by Coastal Gaming, just to emphasize again that Team Assault needs to make that first move and needs to make it on the wrong foot and not the right foot.
Maybe it's desperation. Maybe it's a need for giving yourself an advantage early. Is that like what Coastal Gaming is thinking? Is that why we saw them go for that unanticipated peak early and losing their life, right? It's the only thing I can really think of, but it's just not the right decision. You're right. I think Coastal Gaming needs to play this one a bit more passively, but in all honesty, I don't like their lineup for this passive approach. Castle's fine in a lot of ways, and the Syria Gates can hold off quite well, but only a Mute Jammer to deny Hardwall and Jacuzzi will make it a little bit easier for Team Assault to push forward, especially when we know what operators and agents are bringing to the table, but ultimately it's going to come down to the denial on the opposing side of CCTV and Cash, and while it works out for a moment as Bumzo takes out one of the side of Team Assault's, Reed and Asian clap back instantaneously and find two of their own. Now it's just Sakuda, Sneaky, and Dubs left standing. They're going to have to fight a massive fight to go for the upset, and they'll do just that. Spiff and Gunner taken out by Sneaky and Sakuda. The Logi approach has failed, and so did the attempted entry into that construction side, but Reed says, I want none of it. Swings up huge. Kais to go for the knife, still finds the kill with the pistol onto Dubs. And now it's a 1v2. Sakuda's locked in on this bedroom hallway. Will have to go for destroying the castle barricade, but opts not to do so just yet.
Stuck.
Now he's completely trapped here, John. No clue where to head to. It's going to rotate through Logi and look to maybe come in through this vault or secret stash door. They made the rotation whole. He's looking for the legs of Reed, but Reed are not giving them a single bit of option until he does. Now TB&O, Sakuda has a chance as Asian is the last player left officially standing, but the noise is made. The vault attempted, and Sakuda will swing themselves into the bathroom and quickly fall into the afterlife and fall into a very devastating loss against Team Assault, 7-2.
I am impressed by Reed Sync having that much faith in Asian. He stuck that plant, despite the fact he heard Jaeger pull F on the castle barricade. That was incredibly impressive, because if you hear that, you're like, oh god, he's going to commit and try to stop the plant. But he was so close to getting it done. He's like, you know what, Asian, you've got my back. That's information we can utilize, position ourselves for that post plant to make sure we're not going to allow Jaeger to win this. And it did get close, because Reed's Sync eventually fell. But again, because of Asian's proper positioning, it didn't matter. He had the exact location where Jaeger was and just found an easy lineup once he hopped in through that rotate back inside of Bathroom. So a pretty one-sided affair for Team Assault. Only a couple of round wins by Coastal Gaming, which is a bit of an upset. That honestly, this might be the end now for Coastal Gaming, especially if Cosmic Wolf does very good in their next couple of matches. They are playing up against Team Assault next week, and they've already lost this week's game. So there's a small, and I mean minute, glimmer of hope, incredibly low, like point-something% chance of making it to the playoffs.
Team, though, right? Yeah. I mean, Dark Zero fans, they know that feeling of the tiny.
Yeah, but they're already on their flight, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
But
they're at the nearest airport because they are NA. Okay,
maybe, dude, maybe it's just the glimpses, John. It's just the tiny chances.
There's a small glimmer of hope. I will allude to that, but nothing else really. Especially if they even tie with Cosmic Wolf, they need Cosmic Wolf just to fail these next couple of matches. They need them to just completely wipe themselves off the face of Unified to try to get into fourth place. So there is a lot of accountability in the hands of the other teams. So that's never a good thing to say, especially for Coastal Gaming. They should try to take matters into their own hands, and now they kind of can't, because they lost this matchup up against Team Assault. So yeah, I'm hoping you make it. I really am. But it's going to be basically near impossible at this point. But that concludes our matchup here for Unified. Up in the R6 group, we've got Valorant coming up for the semifinals with both Jagcast and Septilent. So if you enjoy their commentary or enjoy Valorant altogether, feel free to go give them a watch. I've been Fellow, joined here by Infernosis. You can check out our Twitters right up above, as that's a feature I am never going to get old from. And that's it for me. I mean, if you want to say anything for yourself, Scott, I mean, feel free to do so, but I think I've done a good job outroing us out. No? All right. Well, then that's it for us. Hope you all have a great rest of your evening and to stick around for some Valorant action in a few short moments.